we'll move to the official opposition, Mr. Hillier.
Thank you very much, Chair. And Minister, earlier this morning, there was a question that I asked about the study that you used for pricing, to evaluate your pricing. You said you used the Quebec Hydro study. I did ask if you could provide that study to the committee, and I didn't get an answer, so I was wondering if you could answer that now.
Yeah, I'm going to refer to the deputy on that issue.
So a couple things. On the long-term energy plan, we put out several modules. I give more detail on what our assumptions were in the LTAP. Mm-hmm. On the Hydro-Quebec report, that's publicly available.
Okay.
So it's not
well, maybe if you just provide the link, which one that you're using. Link.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, I want to ask the Minister, I'm sure you're familiar with a statutory obligation of IESO, the MDMR, the Meter Data Management Repository. And I'd like to ask the Minister, of course, that is the network that transmits all the information from our meters to the IESO, and then transfers that data back to the LDCs, and then once again, finally, to the consumer. Minister, has there been any audits done on the complete MDMR network?
I believe that the Auditor General has been working on issues related to the smart meters, which would cover the question. But I'm going to ask the deputy
not financial, not the financial. I mean the data management, auditing the data management integrity.
Yeah, I'm going to turn that over to the deputy.
Sure.
So the ISO would have hired several consultants. I think the latest one was IBM to review the MDMR, to provide advice on the data, and also provide advice on going forward what improvements we could make to using the data. Right. And working with the LDCs as well.
But as far as you know...
If I can add to that just somewhat. IBM built a new data management center in Barrie. And it is to, first of all, manage data for entities, whether they're government or large corporations. And they're concentrating on 3 or 4 particular subject matters. And I had the benefit of visiting the data center about 7 or 8 months ago, and it was quite impressive. They have a major initiative and that facility, incidentally, was supported by funding from the federal government and the provincial government to initiate it. And one of their data management projects is actually to mine the data from smart meters. Sure. And all the different systems that we have in Ontario in order to create new applications and new efficiencies going forward.
But my question is, has there ever been an audit done on the entire system for data integrity?
Well, we've worked with the Privacy Commissioner on privacy matters, and if that's what you're asking.
No. Just the meters are transmitting data to the IESO's MDMR. The MDMR then collates that data, and then retransmits it out to the LDCs, who then collates it once again and then transmits it back out in the form of a bill to the consumer. So I'm just asking, has there been an audit done on the integrity of that data transmission, collection, and of the system?
Well, I believe the ISO would have internal audits in place, systems in place. I'm not, like when you say audit, we think of the Auditor General doing an audit.
Yeah, this would not be a financial audit.
No, I think the ISO would ensure the integrity of the data.
Okay, so as far as you're aware, you're not aware if there is or there isn't.
Well, I'm aware that ISO would ensure the integrity of the system, whether they do what you think of as an audit or they have systems in place to ensure that. That's really what the MDMR is about. Yeah,
the IESO is obligated to have that system under the statutes, right? So I'm just wondering, under those statutes, what is the obligations to ensure the veracity and the integrity of the data?
Well, that is the function of the ISO and the MDMR, is to collect that data, to do the due diligence on it. and to collect it
Okay.
so that it can go to the LDCs. Like,
Okay.
that's-
Well, I'm sure you're aware that the ombudsman has been investigating many thousands of complaints on incorrect billings, et cetera. It's been high profile. I'm sure that you're aware of that. And I'll let you know, I spoke with the IESO, and there is no complete auditing process for our data management system. There is none. And I'm wondering, because of this ombudsman investigation, have you, at the Ministry of Energy, determined if there needs to be a better auditing process on the data in light of the tens of thousands of complaints on billings?
Just to clarify, the Ombudsman is looking at
Yeah.
Hydro One.
Yeah.
Hydro One introduced a new billing system within Hydro One. It is that billing system that's caused a lot of problems for Hydro One. They're trying to rectify it. So I wouldn't connect that to the ISO MDMR. I think that they're two separate issues. And Hydro One is working to rectify that.
They could very well be.
situation.
But does it surprise you or does it concern you when I tell you that there is no auditing process for the complete network for the MDMR's system?
I'd have to talk to the ISO, just so that we're talking about the same thing in terms of a complete audit versus what they're obligated
Well,
to do.
the audit is this: if a bit or a byte of data gets transmitted from a meter into the IESO system, and then it gets relayed over to an LDC, that the data that originated from the meter is the same data that ended up at the LDC. That's what an auditing process does, to make sure that the veracity of the data is indeed correct. And in my speaking with the IESO, there's never been, and nor is there any requirement for an audit on the complete data transmission network for smart meters.
I'd have to talk to the ISO to, just to give you some assurance as to what verification they do, because they're obligated to verify the data.
Well, maybe I'll just, as we know that the Ombudsman is investigating these many errors with smart meters, I'm wondering what independent actions the Ministry of Energy has undertaken to investigate themselves in the level of these errors. Have you taken any independent investigation?
The Ombudsman is looking into Hydro One's
Yeah.
billing issues.
So you guys have not done any independent investigations on these billing errors?
There's no need to do an independent investigation with respect to the billing. The Hydro One has already acknowledged that they put in a new system, and the billing errors are not related to smart meter information. The billing errors are with respect to the IT system that Hydro One has implemented and that is in the process of rectifying.
Are you, maybe I'll ask this question, the MDMR system deals with 70 LDCs throughout the province. All meters transmit to it. Are you aware of any other jurisdiction in North America or Europe that has multiple LDCs transmitting on different platforms or network into a one central system?
I off the top of my head, I don't know. I know there are other jurisdictions that have implemented smart meters, whether they have 70 LDCs, I'm not
Or
sure.
any combination. I'm just asking because that was a statutory obligation in the legislation. And I'm just wondering what level of investigation the Ministry of Energy did to come up with that determination that should be included in the legislation, that there be one centralized depository for all the data.
I think the centralized repository is to ensure the veracity of the data.
Okay.
So you collect it from all
But
the
you're not
LDCs.
aware of any investigation into other jurisdictions with a like or similar depository?
Well, I think we're aware that other jurisdictions are implementing smart meters. I just don't know exactly how many LDCs they have and what issues they may or may not have.
Well, maybe I could ask if the ministry has any of that information that they use to evaluate multiple network platforms transmitting into a central system that indicated that that was the right way to go.
California has smart meters and they have multiple LDCs.
I'm aware that they do not have a central MDMR-like repository for data, that each LDC sends out the data, collects the data, and retransmits the data to their own customers, unlike what we have here in Ontario. So if there is something that the Ministry of Energy undertook to determine that this was a good way of doing it, I think it would be good information for the committee to have, if you have any evaluation. And what drove and what gave merit and justified going into this MDMR system? Would you have that business case or that feasibility study, or of what determined to go to the MDMR system?
Well, I think that would have been part of the original rollout of smart meters decision at the time. I think the reality of having 70 LDCs plus,
but
not all LDCs have their own, they share, some of them share their back office functions and the billing systems. Yeah. And we have Hydro One, which is a large player. You have like 20 large LDCs that cover 80% of the province. So I think there are some unique features, but there is a concentration of consumers in 20 of the largest LDCs as well.
So let me just see if we can get to the end of this one. If the ministry has any study or evaluation that gives rise and credit and justification to include that in the legislation, the MDMR, that's, if there is any evaluation, I think, would you be able to provide it to the committee, if there is any evaluation?
We can review what was made public at the time. I know there were studies. We can look at the IESO website and provide that information to you.
Okay. Minister, I just want to briefly, on page 7 of your 2014-2015 estimates, you'll notice that there's a $1.9 million allocation for conservation initiatives. And if you could explain what that's for. It's under transfer payments on page 7 of the 2014-2015 estimates.
We'll find that in the estimates, and
sorry, you said page 7?
Page 7 of the 2014-2015 estimates.
So it might be
the vote item is 2902-1.
So I'm looking at this.
You
might have different, mine is just words on my page 7.
Okay.
About 6.5 minutes.
to 14-15 estimates.
All wrapped up now.
You some of the programs that were, it's on our page 67. Just,
Okay, page
just for the record.
67. Yeah. So, okay, I'll take a look at that. Yeah, I'm curious because when you look at the 2013-2014 estimates, you see the exact same line item
Yeah.
under transfer payments of 1.9 million, but going through the public accounts, I could not find where that money was expended. So maybe I don't have page 67 with me at the moment. Maybe if you can give me a brief summary of what that expenditure is for.
Yeah, we can give you a sense of some of the programs that were funded through that transfer program.
Okay. Oh, so you'll provide,
We can give you a bit of a highlight now if you want, or we can provide.
sure, if you want to just,
Sure.
Sure. So one of the programs that is funded by the ministry is the Municipal Energy Plan program. So that was a program that was launched in August of 2013, and it is designed to provide municipalities with some funding to support the development of community energy plans.
okay,
So the program provides a maximum of $90,000 for about 50% of eligible costs to municipalities that are interested in, as I mentioned, developing a community energy plan, and is to support some of the activities
okay.
that relate to
And
it.
that's for maximum is under 90,000?
90,000.
So in our public accounts, we don't report individual line items for payments less than 120,000, right?
So this would be for the sum total of the
Yeah, what I'm getting at is, in public accounts, if you stroke a check for greater than $120,000, you indicate what that check went for. If the check was for $90,000, it doesn't appear in public accounts. So that 1.9 million, you're telling me on that municipal energy program, it's capped at 90,000
per municipality.
per municipality.
Yeah.
So nobody would ever see that in the public accounts then.
I suppose not on a per municipality basis,
Yeah,
but as a
yeah.
program,
Okay.
it would be part of that
Okay, so
funding.
not quite open and transparent, but